A beloved Marvel star risking his place in the MCU, a powerhouse wife rumbling behind the scenes, a popular director supposedly caught in a crossfire, and Joe Rogan speaking his mind as only Joe Rogan can. This is no ordinary dust-up. It's a frenzy of possible lawsuits, bruised egos, and a million-dollar question. Did Ryan Reynolds really jeopardize his Deadpool throne by mixing personal vendettas into the script? Because if Joe Rogan's calling him out and Marvel's rumored to be suiting up for a legal battle, then everything we thought we knew about the unstoppable Reynolds-Lively brand is in for a reckoning. We've all heard Joe Rogan's raw, unfiltered takes. Politicians, celebrities, fellow comedians, he pulls zero punches. This time, it's apparently Ryan Reynolds in his crosshairs. Rogan is rumored to have said, on air, that Ryan's letting personal squabbles bleed into his Marvel work. Specifically Deadpool 3. Rogan's big claim? Reynolds may have gone too far with jokes targeting individuals who've angered him or his family, turning what should be playful jabs into real-life vendetta bombs. Love Rogan or hate him, the man has influence, and when he publicly challenges someone, it's front-page news. He's not known for towing any corporate line or pandering to publicists. So if he's putting Reynolds on blast, a lot of ears perk up. Did Reynolds really weaponize Deadpool's comedic freedom? Or is Rogan just stirring the pot because he smelled drama? Fans are split, but the chatter isn't dying down. If one of the biggest podcasters in the world is suggesting that Reynolds is strong-arming comedic bits for personal gain, it's serious, because the next question is, how does Marvel, that fiercely brand-conscious behemoth, feel about it? Yes, the rumor is that Marvel itself might sue Ryan Reynolds. It sounds absurd at first glance. Why would Marvel sue the star who revitalized Deadpool and delivered them R-rated box office gold? Typically, if a studio's unhappy, they'll resolve it behind closed doors, rewrite scenes, threaten contractual penalties, and quietly move on when a star's deal expires. Lawsuits are nuclear options, but Marvel, and by extension Disney, guards its brand like a fortress. If Reynolds inserted jokes that specifically target real-life figures, like Justin Baldoni, who's currently in a dust-up with Blake Lively, Marvel might fear they could be opening the door to defamation or costly PR damage. If Baldoni takes offense and sues, guess who has to defend the film? Marvel, not just Reynolds. It's one thing to roast cameo appearances or gently poke fun at major franchises. Deadpool, after all, made fun of everything from X-Men to Green Lantern. But a personal shot aimed at someone tangentially connected to the star's private drama? That's potentially crossing a line. Marvel invests billions in a squeaky clean brand, and while Deadpool is a comedic outlier, the studio's tolerance for risk only goes so far. Rumors say studio heads are outraged enough to slap Reynolds with legal consequences if that's what it takes to stop him from hijacking the script. Because the minute the jokes slip into a personal vendetta, the comedic license that made Deadpool special starts to look like a loose cannon. Here's where it gets tangled. Blake Lively, Ryan's wife, is starring in Baldoni's adaptation of It Ends With Us, originally penned by Colleen Hoover. Baldoni is directing, co-writing, and starring, and apparently Lively feels overshadowed, like the role she signed on for isn't as grand as she envisioned. Tensions allegedly escalated into creative standoffs. She wanted more input, more changes, more of the spotlight, while Baldoni stuck to his own approach. Standard Hollywood story, right? Except it's grown more heated. Gossip circulates that either Baldoni tried to portray Lively as difficult, or Lively tried to spin negative media about him. Whose version is true? No one knows, but leaked text messages from Lively's circle mention dragons, powerful friends she can summon to tilt the narrative her way. One might be Ryan himself, who wields extraordinary influence via social media and comedic industry cachet. If she told her dragon about feeling slighted, could that have bled into Deadpool 3? The narrative swirling around is that Reynolds, outraged on his wife's behalf, insisted on jabs at Baldoni in the script. This might be business as usual in an industry where big stars throw their weight around, except that Marvel has a brand to protect. If those rumored jokes are transparent enough to open the studio to claims of defamation, or if it looks like Deadpool 3 is a personal revenge tool, Marvel stands to lose more than just an actor. They could face blowback from fans, from Disney's top echelons, and from other A-listers wary about stepping into a crossfire. Before Deadpool, Reynolds was known for rom-coms, comedic roles, and a few lukewarm superhero attempts. Sorry, Green Lantern. Then, in 2016, everything changed. Ryan championed the project when Fox was hesitant. He even leaked test footage, generating a fan frenzy that forced the studio to greenlight the film. The result was a massive box office smash, renewing faith in R-rated superhero stories. Reynolds was hailed as the comedic genius behind the wisecracking anti-hero. He played a huge part in shaping Deadpool's marketing, script, casting, everything. He was more than the lead. He was a driving creative force. Naturally, when Disney absorbed Fox, fans clamored to see Reynolds' Deadpool enter the MCU. Marvel welcomed him, aware of the enormous fan base. But while the first two Deadpool films were mostly self-contained, Deadpool 3 would presumably tie into a broader cinematic universe, meaning more constraints. If Reynolds wants to make a meta-reference, he's got to consider how it reflects on the entire MCU. Still, no one expected a fiasco on this scale, personal feuds merging with on-screen humor. That's where the alleged Marvel lawsuit threat enters the picture. If any part of that story is true, it signals a breakdown of trust. Once upon a time, Marvel praised Reynolds for his passion and irreverent style. Now they might view him as a risk if he uses that creative control to punch down on personal enemies. The rumor mill insists Marvel gave him multiple warnings. Keep it irreverent, but don't let it become malicious. Did he ignore them? If so, the studio might do the unthinkable, fire or recast their poster boy. And yes, that's apparently on the table. Insiders whisper about certain script pages for Deadpool 3 containing lines jabbing a pompous director who insists on starring in his own films, overshadowing the cast, and bragging about motivational achievements while fostering backstage chaos. The parallels to Baldoni, who's known for heartfelt motivational content, seem glaring. One rumored gag even shows Deadpool mocking a fictional, feel-good filmmaker for being unable to juggle all his roles without letting his ego run wild. Normally, fans love when Deadpool references real-world pop culture, but these jokes feel too personal. They're less comedic throwaways and more targeted swipes, and their existence raises the specter of legal trouble. Baldoni, if singled out, could argue the film defamed him. Even if he never sues, Marvel might fear the liability or the negative press. They've worked too hard building a pristine empire to let one star's vendetta overshadow the entire slate. From Reynolds' perspective, maybe it's just comedic gold. Deadpool is known for savage jabs, but if the feud with Baldoni stems from protecting Blake Lively's interests, that's where people say it crosses the line. Even fans who adore Reynolds' sense of humor might feel uneasy if these jokes are basically inside baseball about a personal feud no one else asked for. It's not just a punchline at that point. It's a vendetta being immortalized in a multi-million-dollar blockbuster. Blake Lively carved out a reputation as a fashion icon and a relatively drama-free actress. She always seemed calm and unproblematic. But these leaked messages, where she allegedly references her dragons, hint at a more calculating side. Some interpret it as a strong-willed woman standing her ground, refusing to be sidelined by a director. Others label it manipulative, especially if she's orchestrating negative media around Baldoni. Suddenly, that squeaky clean Lively Reynolds brand seems more complicated. For years, fans reveled in their playful Twitter roasts and adorable interviews. It was easy to assume their private relationship was just as lighthearted. Now speculation abounds. Have they been quietly managing their public narrative all along? Are they the kind of couple that uses behind-the-scenes leverage to protect their ambitions? Hollywood has always had power couples with hidden agendas, but the Lively Reynolds duo stood out as genuine and harmlessly funny. The new rumors cast them in an entirely different light. Producers, meanwhile, might hesitate to sign Lively for fear of potential blow-ups. If the rumor that she commands an influential network is true, then a small creative conflict could explode into widespread negative publicity for a director, studio, or co-star. Hollywood is famously risk-averse. They'll praise strong personalities, so long as it doesn't breed chaos. If Lively's brand is tarnished, it won't doom her career, but it complicates her status as the sweet, approachable star everyone adores. Through all this, Justin Baldoni is keeping quiet. Maybe he's letting the meltdown speak for itself, or maybe he's busy juggling the film production. Whatever his reasoning, it might benefit him. When chaos is swirling, staying above the fray can frame him as a victim or a professional who won't stoop to mudslinging. Suddenly, the public wonders if he's being targeted unfairly. If they see him as a nice guy director who's simply trying to make a heartfelt movie while facing a behind-the-scenes smear campaign, sympathy might boost his standing. Projects can gain notoriety from controversy. If It Ends With Us becomes known as that film at the center of the Lively Reynolds feud, curious audiences might show up in droves. Everyone might want to see exactly what sparked the meltdown. That ironically benefits Baldoni, who could spin the ordeal into an underdog narrative. He tried to do justice to a beloved novel, while star politics threatened to overshadow the production. In Hollywood, public empathy and media coverage can open doors. If he emerges unscathed, big opportunities might be coming his way. Marvel's track record is laser-focused on synergy, big crossovers, and a polished image. Even Deadpool's edgy humor has to fit within certain boundaries now. With the entire MCU tying together movies, TV shows, merchandise, theme park attractions, and a global fan base, they can't let one star threaten that synergy. They parted ways with directors who challenged them on creative freedom, signaled they'd recast major roles if necessary, and rarely let personal drama become public. If these rumors hold water, Ryan Reynolds may have triggered a major meltdown. Disney, Marvel's parent company, has an even more vigilant approach to brand safety. It's remarkable they allowed Deadpool to remain R-rated in the first place. They'll do it as long as it's profitable and doesn't pollute their family-friendly reputation. But if Reynolds uses that R-rated pass to grind personal axes, Disney might say enough is enough. A recast or scrapped contract could be next. Yes, fans would be incensed. Imagine the Twitter outrage if they replaced the beloved Wade Wilson. But from a corporate standpoint, if they believe Reynolds is unstoppable in his comedic vendettas, they may just cut him loose. Deadpool might be overshadowed by a scandal they never wanted. That's the heartbreaker. Fans can't picture anyone else as Deadpool. It's Ryan's comedic timing, his persona, and his obvious love for the character that launched the franchise to the top of the box office. A recast feels sacrilegious. Then again, we've had multiple Spider-Men, Batmen, and even Hulks. It's not impossible. Especially in a multiverse scenario, Marvel could joke about a dimensional shift if they had to. Fans would rage, sure, but eventually adapt if the new actor nails the role. Still, no one wants to see Reynolds thrown out. He's been a marketing genius. He's the one who orchestrated that viral brilliance that made Deadpool a phenomenon. In a normal scenario, Marvel would do anything to keep him, but brand damage can outweigh even the biggest star's popularity. If the personal vendetta jokes are real, Disney might see this as an opportunity to establish a firm boundary. Let one star defame someone with MCU scripts, and soon other stars might think they can slip in their own personal potshots. What's most telling is that Reynolds hasn't broken into his usual comedic routine to refute the rumors. Typically, if a wild rumor surfaces, like him playing a cameo in someone else's superhero movie, he hops on Twitter or Instagram to post a playful denial. Now, crickets. This hush could be a calculated legal decision. Maybe Marvel told him to shut up until they handle it. Maybe he's trying not to add fuel to the fire. But ironically, his silence stokes speculation. If the rumors were totally ridiculous, why not demolish them with a classic Deadpool quip? Fans are noticing that. In fact, the more he stays quiet, the louder the rumors become. Is he quietly negotiating behind the scenes to salvage his relationship with Marvel? If that's the case, he might be treading carefully, because the slightest slip could destroy any chance of a peaceful resolution. But the longer this goes on, the more people assume the worst, that there's actually some truth behind the notion of personal feuds creeping into Deadpool 3. Rogan's commentary practically turbocharges the story. He's known for eviscerating institutions, not siding with them. So if he's calling out Reynolds in a way that sounds sympathetic to Marvel, that's a curveball. Rogan's massive audience skews all over the map, from hardcore MMA fans to casual cultural observers. They might not be huge Marvel nerds, but if he says Ryan Reynolds messed up, they'll listen. That means Reynolds is suddenly not just dealing with a corner of pop culture fans. He's got a broader public eye on him. Reynolds' comedic empire extends beyond films. He's involved in beverage brands, sports teams, and advertising deals. One fiasco can ripple through all of that. If investors or corporate partners get nervous about a star's reliability, they might pull back from collaborations. It's not that people are outraged about an off-color joke. It's the possibility of a legal meltdown with the biggest entity in entertainment. When a star tangles with Disney, it rarely ends well. All of this drama has fans torn. One camp is outraged at the idea of removing Reynolds, fiercely loyal to the actor who fought for Deadpool's success. They think Marvel should lighten up. Deadpool roasts everyone, so why can't he roast Baldoni? Another camp feels lines were crossed if the jokes were indeed a personal smear. They argue a major superhero film shouldn't be used to bully a director just because of some spousal feud. There's even a portion of fans who admire Lively's alleged behind-the-scenes moves. They see it as a no-nonsense woman protecting her career. But for many, it tarnishes the playful image of the couple they'd come to adore. With no official statement, the fan community is in a guessing game. Deadpool is notoriously meta, so the film might even incorporate references to outrageous rumors about Reynolds. But that depends on whether Marvel's still on speaking terms with him when the dust clears. Some watchers say the meltdown could blow over with an apology or a few script tweaks. Others predict that recasting is an inevitability and that Marvel might want to set an example of how far they'll go to protect the MCU from star power run amok. If Marvel's truly fuming, Deadpool 3 could face rewrites. That can be dangerous territory. Deadpool's humor is so specific that if you start removing big swaths of jokes or entire subplots, you risk losing the spark. The last thing fans want is a neutered version of the merc with a mouth. Then again, Marvel probably doesn't mind rewriting. They've done it before when a director's vision conflicted with their grand plan. If the jokes stand, or if they're too integral to the plot, Marvel might weigh the risk. And if Baldoni catches wind of explicit attacks, he could potentially threaten legal action of his own. That might be what sends Marvel into scorched earth territory with Reynolds. Meanwhile, rival studios are also watching. If Reynolds gets blacklisted by Marvel, they might hesitate to hire him for big-budget roles until the dust settles. Hollywood is a small ecosystem. If the biggest studio in town deems you a liability, your star power dims. Of course, Reynolds could still pivot to his businesses, his commercials, his comedic brand, but letting go of Deadpool, the role that resurrected his career, would be a massive blow. We're left with an epic swirl of questions and almost no confirmations. Joe Rogan's out there stirring the pot, insinuating that Reynolds let personal drama overtake his judgment. Marvel might be ready to slam Reynolds with a lawsuit, or at least put the fear of God into him. Blake Lively stands accused of pulling strings to overshadow Baldoni in It Ends With Us. Baldoni, for his part, is quiet, possibly letting the negative press overshadow the film. Deadpool 3 could be on the verge of major rewrites or a total meltdown. Fans are losing their minds at the thought of recasting. Ryan Reynolds is dead silent. Blake Lively's squeaky clean reputation is suddenly in question. All of this points to a saga that might redefine how we think about star power in the Disney-Marvel era. Because if even Ryan Reynolds, the comedic darling who saved an obscure superhero from oblivion, can lose Marvel's favor, then no one's safe. The meltdown is either about to blow over in a miraculous resolution, or it's about to blow up in a legal showdown that changes the course of the Deadpool franchise. And if Joe Rogan keeps talking, if more texts leak, if Baldoni decides to speak out, or if Marvel issues a statement, we could see a spectacle even more dramatic than any on-screen battle in the MCU. Because sometimes the real drama isn't in the special effects or the fictional villains, it's in the petty, high-stakes wars fought behind Hollywood's closed doors.